protective ego. Now, today we're not just going to talk about these behaviors, we are going to expose the entire system. We'll pull back the curtain on the psychology of why this is happening, why these patterns feel so protective and inevitable, stemming from shame, from our earliest relationships, from trauma, and from the cultural scripts of masculinity that we've all been handed. And then we're going to get practical, not just tips, but concrete step by step tools and unorthodox exercises that you guys can use to interrupt and permanently rewrite these patterns. So I want you guys to hang out here because by the end of tonight's show, you won't just understand your self sabotage, you'll have a clear, actionable 30-day plan to begin dismantling it. You'll have one in the moment move to stop a spiral, one daily habit to build new capacity, and one rational script to change the dynamic with the people you care about. Now, this is the day that you guys are, bro. Can you chill out? Cause we on show right now. Look, I done gone live, and then the dog that came live with us. I don't know what he over here trying to munch on, but we trying to get this show together, buddy. This is the day that you stop being a passenger to your own destruction and start taking the wheel. Or do you need some water, Kane? You want to be on the show? You want to jump up on the podcast? Because you know Mike is looking for you. You can get up here and then get over there. Look, here he comes. Now, now, come on, get up, get, move, move. That way we can go ahead and get the show started. Because you guys got to understand that before we dismantle this machine, we have to understand how the machine was built. That's one of the things that we've got to get started with. So, the single most important thing to grasp is this: self sabotage isn't a bug in your system, it's a feature. It is, or at least it once was, a profoundly intelligent and protective mechanism. Hello. Uh, looks like Adora. Where was you last week when we was talking about the ladies? Because that looked like a chick that's looking back at it. Where was you last week when we was talking about the ladies? We be looking for a female's opinion on this show on a regular basis when we be talking about social interactions, and we don't have a female stepping up talking about social interaction. All right, you're interrupting the show because you were supposed to sit down and behave. You're not sitting down and behave. We got to get the show started. See that? Non-negotiable expectations for behavior. It works. Now, behaviors like numbing out, withdrawing from your partner, strategically underperforming at work, or exploding in anger, these are not signs of low ambition. They are highly effective strategies your mind deploys to protect your ego and your core identity from what it perceives as overwhelming threats: the threat of shame, rejection, or being seen as a failure. The system wasn't built overnight. It's a complex architecture constructed from four primary blueprints: the cultural script of masculinity, the lessons of your earlier attachments, the ghost of past traumas, and the ever present shadow of shame. So let's break each one of these down because from the moment We're young boys. The script is handed to us. It's in the movies we watch, the lessons from our fathers and our coaches, the dynamic on the playground. Be strong. Don't cry. Tough it out. Handle it. And the ultimate, most corrosive commandment: do not, under any circumstances, be perceived as weak. Author and researcher Brené Brown shares a powerful story about how, after years of studying shame, that she was confronted by a man at a book signing who pointed out that she'd left men completely out of her work, which I was baffled by. And that interaction was one of the influences that pushed her to discover that for men, a primary and brutal shame trigger is being seen as weak. This cultural programming teaches men that there's a very narrow band of acceptable emotions, primarily anger and stoicism. Sadness, fear, confusion, loneliness, disappointment, these are often seen as liabilities. We learn that expressing them isn't just unmanly, but dangerous. It invites ridicule and rejection. Some research even finds that before the age of 2, boys can be more emotionally expressive than girls, but this quickly changes as they are socialized to feel ashamed for violating these masculine norms. Now, emotional suppression becomes a survival skill. We learn to put on a mask of control, of unflappable competence. So, what happens when life, as it innovatively does, delivers experiences that generate these unacceptable emotions? Well, a major failure at work, a conflict with a partner that leaves you feeling inadequate, a deep sense of loneliness. Well, you can't show your vulnerability, you can't admit the fear, the script forbids it. So, what do? You suppress it. And that suppressed energy has to go somewhere. This is where sabotage starts to look like a solution. Instead of saying, I'm terrified, I'm not good enough for this new role, you procrastinate on the big project, get drunk the night before, a presentation that is very important to you, and create a narrative where you failed because you didn't really try, not because you weren't capable of doing it. You're protecting your ego. Instead of saying to your partner, I feel disconnected and scared that you're going to leave me, you pick a fight over something trivial, completely insignificant. Or you withdraw emotionally, creating distance on your own terms, where you control the outcome, avoiding the raw vulnerability of asking for connections. I've told you guys on the show plenty of times that that is not the way to go. But this creates a devastating paradox. Hello, Nicole. We got a lot of sisters jumping into the podcast today. I guess it's because the dude is talking about the dudes needing to tighten up. Because when we was talking about this topic last week about how the women needed to tighten up, there wasn't a woman in sight. I might get a million views because the women gonna be like, "Yes, brother, preach. These men need to tighten up." But last week, when I had this exact same topic on this exact same day out of the week about how the females be sabotaging themselves too, not a woman on the show, but we got two. Quick, fast, and in a hurry on this topic today. But that's okay. Y'all can come and y'all can listen and learn something about it so that y'all can go and help your boyfriends and husbands and your sons be a little bit better than what they once was. But just remember that self sabotage is not exclusive to men. Women self sabotage quite often. And the difference between men and women self sabotage is that men do not have the ability to step away from their responsibility. Women have this hidden crutch that when things are not in their favor, they can fall on because I'm a girl, or they fall on because it's the man's job. And that's one of the biggest dynamics in relationships that cause the most conflict, because some of the most powerful women in the world will retreat from responsibility because that's the man's responsibility. But they want that authority to make the decisions and take action because they want the equal ability to make the decision. But if you're not willing to be part of the collateral damage, if you're not willing to sacrifice yourself for the success of the group, you should not be in a leadership position that requires you to do something that you don't want to do, not because you're not capable of doing it, because you don't want to do it. If you're not the person that's going to pay for the car when the car gets totaled, you should not be the person deciding on what happens to the car. At the end of the day, if you do not want to make the catastrophic decisions, don't put your, and then if you're in those situations where I know everybody want to be kept at some point. Men want to be kept by their women differently than what women want to be kept by their men, because the women want the man that's supposed to protect and provide for them. But when you find a man that make more money than you, when you find a man that does more stuff than you in the relationship, that is capable and willing to do that, at the end of the day, ladies, y'all supposed to be able to submit to whatever he tell y'all to do. If he don't like that outfit, take it off and put on something else. He buy all your damn clothes. You should just go ahead and put on whatever he wants you to wear. If he asks you to do something for him so that he don't got to do it, so that he can focus on buying you more stuff, then take the stress off his plate so that he can focus on making more money to put more money into your pocket. Not one woman look at a man as an asset. Y'all look at him as an ATM machine, but y'all don't look at him as an asset. But let me ask you a question while I got women on the channel right now. When have you ever had a stock option give you money without you investing into it? Never. But when have you had a man give you money and you ain't never did nothing for him? All the damn time. But if you treat your man like a stock option, you're gonna put into this man, and this man gonna put back more into you than what you put into him. So I don't understand why y'all don't support the men the way the men need supporting. Instead of getting it out of your mentality that I don't want to raise no man, y'all gotta treat this like a build-a-bear scenario. If you got 60, 70% of the men that you looking for, and the other 30, 40% that you can just make some adjustments with this man, you can just get the foundation of what success could look like and put effort into making him successful. And then everything that man do, you're entitled to. But for some reason, you know, y'all want the finished product. And just like building a Rolls Royce, ladies, y'all gotta wait for the finished product. And then after y'all wait for the finished product, y'all gotta show that y'all deserve that finished product. Because when has anybody ever got a built their own car at the dealership and just went and picked it up? You still got to pass a credit check. You still got to show you got the income for it. You got to make payments towards it. You got to wait for it because they building it the way you want it. But once it comes, you still got to qualify for it after it qualifies for you. So why women don't want to qualify for the man that they want, but they want the man that they need to qualify for her? I don't understand that. That dynamic throws me way off. I'm completely agreeing on the fact that we should be able to qualify for the women that we want, but I'm trying to figure out why the men don't get nothing out of it. Ain't we paying for it from the first day? I have rarely seen a woman say, I'm going to pay for the first 6 months of this relationship to see if he's worth my time before I let him take over. But I know damn sure from the first time the man see the woman across the street, he will almost get hit by a car to get her name and her phone number and bribe her with dinner, movies, night on the town, buy her an outfit, roses, shoes, whatever she looking for. And then every day after that is on him. And if she commit to that, then the every day of the relationship is on him. And then the marriage is on him, because we're not in a traditional setting where the one of the fathers pay for the bride. The husband pays for the bride these days. And the husband pays for the engagement ring, the husband pays for the engagement ceremony, the husband's probably going to pay for the honeymoon, and then the husband's going to pay for the wife until the husband dies or the wife divorces the husband, because 80% of divorces is women starting the divorce, and she gonna take whatever he did not give to her. So she gonna take everything he gave her, and then half of everything he didn't give her, which is about 75% of everything he worked for his entire life. And I ask ladies all the time, if you was in that position, the receiving end of giving it all up, rolling the dice on a person that has never showed their value to you, so that when they're not satisfied with all of the stuff you've done for them, that you still have to accept the fact that they might leave anyway and take whatever you didn't give them. Is that fair? While I got a woman on the channel, I just really want y'all to answer that. Is it fair? Because I don't think it is. I think with this equality thing that we got going on, that we're supposed to be both ways, that we supposed to both kick in. And if we don't both kick in when it's time to go, that you get out what you put in. And if you ain't put in nothing, you ain't getting nothing. But that's not how the laws work right now. You know what I mean? She said we want protection. Right. But I ask this question when it comes down to protection real quick, ladies. Before y'all go anywhere, Donald Trump is a billionaire. And Donald Trump got about 20 plus men telling him where to go, what to do, sit down, be quiet, don't go in that room. And that's a billionaire. The most powerful man in this country got a team of men that will go in there and make sure it's safe before he goes in there. And if it ain't safe, they will take him out whether he want to or not. Now, let me ask you a question when we start talking about protection. If a man is supposed to protect you, how is he going to protect you if you don't listen? If you don't sit down when he tell you to sit down, if you don't stop talking when he tell you to stop talking, if you don't come on, let's go when he tell you to come on, let's go. If he tell you don't put on that overly revealing outfit that's going to attract negative attention, especially out here during the holidays with these Christmas parties and everything like that, and then you go out there talking about something, I'm grown, I do whatever I want, you're not my daddy, and then something bad happened to you, he can't protect you because while we know that there are monsters out there, both men and women alike, it's the man's job to predict the type of danger you can preemptively avoid and then be present for the rest of the danger that you can't predict. And if y'all don't follow the instructions of the protector, how can the protector protect you? That's I've always asked that question. And not too many women think about that. It's not about being his servant, but if you put him in charge of your safety when he don't think that's safe for you, you're supposed to respect that. But as women, y'all are such brilliant individuals. And one of the things that y'all fail to do is y'all fail to pick the man who's got the kind of judgment that y'all trust. So that when he says something, you're going to think, you know what? That makes sense because that's something I would have said. Instead, he paying. And I'm trying to figure out when will y'all change that mentality. So while I get into the paradox, because we got quite a bit of stuff we're gonna talk about today about how the men need to tighten up. While we got I got a couple of y'all ladies on the show. I just want us to tiptoe into that little paradox real quick because I strongly believe as y'all like and subscribe, as y'all come through and use those reaction buttons um, to show your support for the channel. I believe that we got to think about this from both sides of the fence. It's not just one side. A relationship is not carried by one person. Both of y'all get together, both of y'all are supposed to put in, and both of y'all are supposed to get something out of it. So today, while I'm building higher value men, I'm going to be providing you fellas with the rest of the information that y'all need to make a few changes with your observations of the self-sabotaging behavior. Because when y'all get a strong, independent woman, successful women, and when y'all get the ones that aren't, at the end of the day, you don't want to sabotage the relationship that you're about to get yourself into just because you're not ready for it. If you're not ready for it, don't go out there. If you're not ready for that job, don't go out there. But when you get ready for it, you want to get out there, you want to get it done. So when you remember the lack of control that you have in a relationship and the self-sabotaging behavior that you perform in that relationship, it creates a devastating paragraph, a paradox because the suppression that is meant to make you appear strong actually leads to the behavior that weakens your career. It weakens your relationships and it weakens your own mentality. That stoic ideal that's meant to be a suit of armor for you, it ends up becoming a cage. The second layer of the psychological architecture, way worse than the first layer, is your attachment style. Now, this, ladies, is very important because it is forged in your earliest relationships with caregivers. And ironically, statistics have it that only 18% of children are with their fathers. So 82% of children are with caregivers that are female. So think about this real quick, ladies. According to the attachment theory, the patterns of connection and care that you receive as a child create an internal working model for how relationships function. And this model dictates your expectations of others, your comfort with intimacy, and your strategies for dealing with emotional needs. So if you grew up in a household where you didn't get that proper structure, 82% of children would have been in a female driven household. A lot of the women as adults blame the behavior of men on their childhood and their mamas and the last girlfriend that they dated. But all of these individuals are all women. Ladies, y'all got to treat men better. Y'all got to treat the boys better as sons. Y'all got to treat y'all brothers better as boys and men. And y'all got to treat y'all dads better as fathers. And you got to treat your boyfriend better and your husband better because if y'all don't treat the men better, the men are not going to behave better for you. That's a huge issue that y'all got to change. That's a dynamic that not too many people think. If I want a car that runs, it's not about going out and buying a brand new car. It's about taking the cars I got outside and fixing them so that they're not broke when I get in them. You want a relationship that is rock solid. It's not about finding a man that is rock solid. It's about finding a man that will work with you to make a rock solid relationship. So for many men who self-sabotage, this model is insecure, typically falling into what we call avoidant or anxious categories. So let's imagine a young boy. When he cries, his caregiver constantly responds with dismissal. Boys don't cry. And you tell the boys that all the time just to make them shut up. Boys don't cry. You're a big boy. Big boys don't cry. Annoyances or simply unavailable behavior that is taught to the children. This is like subconscious teaching. And the boy learns a critical lesson from their caregiver that my emotional needs are a burden. Dependence is dangerous. To stay safe, I must suppress my needs and become totally self reliant, which isn't good in earlier in the adult years. And this is a common path to developing an avoidant attachment style. That's right. I keep going. I don't stop. Special shout out to CC Vine. I will run this route for at least another hour and a half. This is a live podcast. This isn't a short skit. You might have sat here thinking, oh, I'm going to sit here and watch this for 60 seconds. It's going to flip somewhere else. No, ma'am. If you don't scroll up, you're going to be here for the next 2 hours. But I'm amazed. Look at all females jumping into the podcast today. Y'all need to go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button so that when we have one of them female debates, y'all can get up in here and y'all can come jump. Because I know, look, she laughing. I know you were sitting over here thinking like this man was supposed to say something, hit the nail on the head, and then I was supposed to go on to the next flip. No, No, this is a highly interactive live podcast that started 38 minutes ago. And today we talking about how men need to tighten up and all the women is jumping into the channel. And why y'all jumping in the channel? I'm gonna talk to y'all. I'm gonna talk to y'all because, because we live today. We live every day, same time of night. We live every day. But when we was talking about how the women needed to tighten up on this exact same topic last week, it was a ghost town up in here. We had like 50 men, no females. Y'all want to hear what a man have to say about how men need to tighten up, but did nobody want to hear what a man had to say about how the women need to tighten up? I don't understand it. I don't understand it. But look, I'm here for everybody. But this is a male-driven podcast for the male's perspective. And I am here to provide the men with better information to help them with their finances, to help them with their personal decisions so that they can become higher value men, not just because they got extra money in their pocket, but because they make better decisions as adults. But the since society is not exclusive to men, the information that I am giving you is not gender exclusive. Well, today's topic is because it's about how the men can behave better. The fact is that the information will help the women on a whole nother front because y'all will help your husbands, your boyfriends, and your sons and your brothers be better men. Because when you see what's going on and you hear the steps, if you stay with me for the rest of the show, and you hear what's going on, why it's happening, so that you can approach it appropriately, you can help the men in your life that you value make better decisions in their life, so that they're not forever failing, so that you're not forever bailing cousin Leroy out of jail, so that you ain't consistently trying to help somebody come out of a financial disaster, so that you're not forever cashing in on a bad investment or paying somebody's rent because they didn't get their money on time because they was at the club last weekend. All of the stuff that you do to stretch yourself thin to help the men in your life that you value get over bad decisions that they made. You can take the knowledge off of this podcast. You can use that to help those men make better decisions in their lives, which takes less money out of your pocket. So at the end of the day, the ladies can come and benefit from the show too, you know, but not all the time, or y'all gonna camp. So note, this is a live stream. We're not gonna run a 60-second or 5 minute channel. So whenever you get tired of it, you can keep scrolling. But since we're on the shorts reel, when you get to the end of the shorts reel, guess where you're gonna end up? Back here talking about something important. uh I gotta high five YouTube for doing that. Because not too many podcasts are running live on the shorts reel. I think I might be the only one to be real. So check this out. As an adult man, the programming that we develop from our childhood runs silently in the background all the time, whether we know it or not. We're gonna crave that connection, but as men, we um, recognize that the true intimacy feels deeply threatened. And this is where you're going to start developing the men that have commitment issues, the players, the non-loyal men. They want to be in a committed relationship, but they're afraid to get into one because they were raised in a background with female caregivers that wasn't really connecting with them. Not necessarily on purpose, because you could have had a single mom that was working two jobs to take care of the kids and was never home to give the love and affection to the children that she needed because she was trying to provide the financial requirements for their standard of living. You could have had the single mom with too many kids, and this be one of the older kids that had to get out there and get a second job so that the two of them can work together to take care of all of the younger ones. Never having that emotional connection in their life the way they needed it. It's not like the women are doing it on purpose. It's just the outcome. And unknowingly, because you have to remember that the good old boys club is mentorship. The good old boys is like the top 1%, like a million out of 185 million people that teach each other how to perform. The rest of the 99% of us, we're winging it as we go along. We don't know anything from our ancestors. because our parents and our grandparents did not learn anything that they can teach to us besides take your ass to work and make the money to pay your bills. And that's all we know how to do. When we make more money, we spend more money because we were not taught how to save and invest. On this channel, I talk to you guys about how to save and invest so that not only you can learn it, but you can teach your kids. But this dynamic activates that threat of connection activates old fears that your needs will be rejected or that you'll be engulfed and lose your autonomy. And that's going to happen. How you doing, Casey? Craziness through what up? I'm doing a good job, man. Doing a good job. So this fear of rejection, the fear of rejection and also the fear of being engulfed and losing your own autonomy is two different things that causes men to be self-conscious about that first engagement. So ladies, y'all will find that y'all will have a man that really is attracted to you, at least from across the room, or if y'all work around one another, whether y'all are in school or on the job or something to that effect, and y'all are around each other a lot, guy really likes you. He has enough knowledge about you to want to come over there and talk to you, but he doesn't have the courage to do so because of the fear of rejection, which has gotten dangerous these days. Because a man approaching a woman in society these days, uh, hi cousin, through this and that, cruising through, huh? Connecticut, special shout out to Connecticut, Ohio. Or no, that's Cincinnati. Special shout out to Cincinnati and Connecticut. Cruising through. I appreciate you. But yeah, this is going to cause a huge dynamic because men are going to be afraid to approach because the rejection has gotten dangerous. Now, when a man wants to approach a woman, she either ignores him outly or she embarrasses him for the attempt. And instead of just respectfully listening to his pitch and then politely telling him, I appreciate your efforts. Thank you for the compliment, but I'm not interested in just moving on with your day. She either has to ignore him, insult him, or embarrass him in public. And that those are catastrophic and toxic ways to reject a man instead of being polite the way that you would, tell the Bible thumpers, as we call them, the guy that you have two guys that come knocking on your door in the middle of the day, interrupting your peace, trying to get you to join their church, and you talk to them with way more respect than you talk to a man that wants to pay for the rest of your life. I don't understand that dynamic. I don't understand that dynamic because anybody that's a God fearing person that says that the acts of the Lord happens through the acts of man, if a man came up and wanted to give you his heart, that's the love that was sent to you. And why you turning it away and then complaining about why you can't find a good man, I don't understand that dynamic. He saw you, thought you was worth talking to, and then you showed him that you weren't. And you're disappointed at the fact that you can't find what you're looking for, but what you're looking for, you pushed away because it didn't look the way you wanted it to look. And that is an issue. But then we also have that happy wife, happy life mentality because men who get married will tell other men about how the life works where they get engulfed and lose their autonomy because that happy wife, happy life mentality requires a man to put his entire existence into the garage or into the basement as the man cave, and that's the only place that a man can express his manliness. And the rest of the time, it's yes, dear, and it's not the way that's supposed to be because in an egalitarian relationship in modern times of reasonably expected equality, the woman is not the only person that has authority, and it shouldn't be the queen's castle. The king and the queen are supposed to be in there where the queen runs the kingdom when the king isn't there, but the king that she chose is supposed to be running the kingdom when the king is there. And there shouldn't be a rebellion there, you know? Casey says women seem entitled instead of being civil. Crazy. More love, bro, from the females. That's what we all need. And that's what one of the reasons why, Casey, a lot of men are stacking their cash up, grabbing a passport for $300 to get it express shipped to the house so that they can hop a plane and spend 15 to $20,000 to fly to the Philippines and go find them a woman that will give him 15 to 20 years of her life before she give up on the situation. And irony in that is at $875 a month, you can make a Filipino woman happy. And for $875 across 3 days, you have an American woman cheating on you with five other men. I don't understand what the dynamic is there. You the same man with the same goals, the same drive, the same ambition, the same intent to give this woman the best life you possibly can. And the difference between the Americanized culture and the Eastern side culture is that the ones over there greatly appreciate it. But you know one thing before women start talking about it, I appreciate you still being here, Nicole, because I thought you swiped away. But one of the things that freak me out about this is that some women are shaming men, saying, "Oh, you go in there and you manipulating these women because they broken, they needy, they dumb, they third world country, they this, they that. You too poor to go and get." Look, I'm gonna tell you right now, I crunched the numbers because I wanted to see how true these women was when they were saying what they were saying, but it turned out that they were just bitter. Because look, I'm real quick, and I'm just coming off of numbers. I'm not. I ain't saying nothing about those passport bros that fly around the world to start smashing just to smash. I'm talking about the men that are looking for a wife. The $300 passport ain't cheap, but the $2,000 plane ticket to get there ain't cheap neither. And then it's $1 to $3,000 a month to stay there, and your standard of living in America. So if your standard of living in America is like $5,000 on standby, I'm not talking about like your subscriptions and your clubbing and your drinking and smoking, the weed that you got to grow in your backyard. I'm not talking about none of that stuff. I'm talking about to pay your rent, light, gas, water, and car insurance while you're not in town. If that costs you $3,000, $4,000 a month, you got to pay that, and then the $2,000 to fly out there, and then you got to pay the $2,000 to stay out there, and then you got to look. Here go the big part, ladies. This is the part that y'all don't think about. If I got to fly her back, the United States government got me signing a contract saying that I'm going to pay $20,000 a year, no less, for this woman to stay in the country with me until she get her own citizenship. That's a guaranteed commitment right there. Then, married or not, if you get divorced, that $20,000 contract is not part of the divorce. That ain't part of the alimony. That's in addition to. Then I gotta fly her back. So if it costs me $2,000 to get there, it costs me $4,000 to get back, and it's $2,500 for the visa that she needs to come over on a marriage visa. So I just spent 15 grand to bring her back with a $20,000 guarantee every year that she is going to be kept, plus whatever I do for her. Now, what broke man is going to fly to the other side of the world? Because that plane trip is like 15 to 18-hour flight so that they can go to another country and find a woman that will do for him what the woman down the street from his house does not want to do. Not that you can't, does not want to do. Now, when we start talking about value from a monetary perspective, ladies, what woman in this world is worth $20,000 and a 15-hour flight far away from you? Let's be real, because the man that's in your neighborhood getting his passport and flying out of your neighborhood to go find him an Asian woman and bring her back to your neighborhood. It is the attitude that is the way the men that are being treated is the reason why. It ain't just the white ones though. It ain't just the white ones because the white men want the black women. No matter how bad the black women talk to men, when the black women get mad, the white women want the black women, sassy and all. The black men want to be respected. The black men don't get respected by society. They get dogged out in the streets. They get dogged out at the traffic stop. They get dogged out in court. They get dogged out at work. Then when they get home, they get dogged out by their woman. They want to be respected. And the black men will fly the plane and go. They won't just go out there and find a woman. They'll move to Japan, to Taiwan, to Vietnam. They will South Korea. They will move over there and start a family over there because they couldn't do it over here. Not because they're not good enough, but because they're finally in a culture where they're appreciated. So they had to go to a whole nother country to be respected. That's what these men are taking up passports for. They're flying out of the country not because they bitter, not because they simps, they can't find a woman. They're tired of being disrespected. No man wants to become $100,000, $150,000 a year man for an American woman that won't respect him once he get there. Because let me tell you something, $75,000 a year as a night shift manager at a Waffle House, baby. $125,000 a year as a garbage truck driver. So I'm trying to figure out why, if the man work at Popeyes, you ain't got no respect for him. That's 65,000 a year. You put your money with his money if you making that much, because teachers is making 40 to 55,000 a year. And y'all bring y'all money together, living in a $40,000 lifestyle. Y'all putting away over 40,000 a year. I done came on this show every week and gave y'all the numbers. That if the two of y'all come together and y'all making $100,000 or more together, and y'all living at under 50,000 or under 60,000 of it, with an extra 40,000 that ideally is going on your hair, nails, your outfits, your girder belt, waist trainer, whatever y'all want to call it these days, the push-up bra, the water bra, the padded butt lifts, the makeup, the fingernail polish, the fingernails, and then your G5, your Bentley, and all this other stuff that you want your man to get for you. That $40,000 a year, you can put it into a high interest stock option. And I got the stocks. Look, ladies, when I had this conversation, I didn't just had a conversation. I went and got the stocks and showed you that you can get these stocks across the bottom of the screen. Y'all can do your research and be like, holy shit. And literally 15 to 18% interest that y'all will be getting back on a monthly basis, where y'all will be able to be drawing back off of that 40,000 a year that you put into the bank instead of wasting it on bullshit, drawing back 10 to 15 extra $1,000 a year, where you would ultimately be putting away $65,000 a year, and you would stack that 10 years. That's $650,000. Find you one man that make more than 50,000 a year, get with him, and y'all could be a millionaire in less than 20 years. Y'all could be a millionaire in 10 to 15. Where once y'all got there, you understand? Once y'all got there, y'all will be living off of $250,000 a year, where y'all could both quit y'all jobs, upgrade, own the house, cash up front instead of paying the mortgage, own the car, cash up front instead of paying for the mortgage. I mean, for the car note. Y'all could travel the world. All women say that they like to travel, but how many women build a man up to afford to travel? How many of y'all put in the effort to have a man that can take you places, but you definitely want that damn free plane ticket though, don't you? I'm coming down on the men about how the men need to behave better, but ladies, in order for the men to behave better, y'all gotta do something to help them behave better, because who is gonna benefit from a man behaving better? Not the man. I spent Every man on the face of this earth spends 3/4 of their life making themselves the best that they're gonna be in their life. And the last 25% of their life they supposed to enjoy it. Every woman waits for that man to get to that level, and then they're gonna enjoy life because they don't have to pay for nothing. And I'm trying to figure out what the hell. Casey said, "Woo, ladies, y'all better change. You're gonna have to be responsible for your actions. You will be responsible for your actions. You're gonna have a lot more women over the age of 35 that's gonna be single, potentially with children, can't find a man, and the only time that they're gonna hook up with somebody is gonna be exactly that, a hookup." But look, hold on. He said 65,000 a year was good money about 30 years ago. You right. 65,000 a year ain't good enough for a lot of people. Let's think real quick. 65, the working class, and a lot of people gonna be upset real quick before we get back on the main topic. Working class is the bottom end of poor class, the top end of poor class, bottom end of middle class, right? Working class, right? And working class is making right now $1,765 a week. I'm gonna say that again. Working class, the top end of poor, is making $1,765 a week. If you're not making $1,765 a week right now, you are poor. Okay? Let's just call it what it is now. He says that Wesley Snipes, not yet. Now, but think about it though. At the end of the day, the average household has two incomes in it, whether it's one person with two jobs or two people with one job. The average household in the United States, more than 70%, have two incomes. If two of y'all are living together and both of y'all got 65,000 apiece, y'all got 130,000 dollars a year. If she has a $55,000 a year lifestyle and he has a $55,000 a year lifestyle and they both make 65,000, if they move into the same house, they now have a $55,000 a year lifestyle and they have $130,000 to go towards that. Now let me ask you something. If y'all go remotely 70-30 on the bills or 50-50 on the bills, y'all still got a $50,000 a year lifestyle. Let's up it a little bit and say 65 because everybody paying for their own car, right? What the hell happened to the other $60,000? If y'all was both paying for your own individual standard of living when y'all was living separately, y'all moved in together, y'all not making less money. Y'all got less bills because you don't have two mortgages to pay. You don't have, you know what I'm saying? But once one of y'all car paid off, y'all don't have two car notes. Y'all put y'all phone bills together, get y'all a family plan or something like that. Get your corporate plan. Start your LLC, LLC for the family, and get your corporate account. And shit, I got what? Five cell phones, three internet lines, a hotspot for $300. Like you could get two phones for $90 instead of paying $70 a piece. So I'm trying to figure out why your living expenses is less when y'all come together in a relationship, but y'all still damn broke. That's because both people, not just the woman, both people is wasting money in a relationship. Y'all not investing, y'all not saving. Y'all always fighting over money because somebody wants something and somebody else wants something different, and y'all not putting the money where it need to be at, and ain't nobody trying to build for tomorrow. Then if you got to work two jobs, one of y'all work nights, the other one work days, y'all never see one another. Y'all gonna end up dating y'all partner at the job because y'all don't see each other at the house, and y'all wondering what the hell happened to my relationship. You didn't invest in it. That's what happened to your relationship. Casey said women is disillusional. Women are not just disillusional. The fact is that they're not. So men are inconsiderate. They don't think about stuff. They don't consider these things before they take action. Women are selfish. They know what they should be doing. They just choose not to do it because they don't get what they want. Men ain't paying attention. Women out for themselves. The women are gonna feel left out because the man wasn't focused. The man gonna feel left out because the woman deliberately didn't do it. Both parties are unhappy with each other. Y'all break up. 1 year, 5 months, 6 days, average relationship. And anything above that, y'all start talking about marriage. And it ain't the husband talking about marriage. It's the wife demanding that I must be married to you because I didn't put in this much time hovering in your vicinity, not building you up to be successful. How many wives pay for their own marriage? How many wives pay for the engagement ring? That's the man's job. But when did you put more money in your man's pocket for him to afford the engagement ring? Because isn't traditionally the engagement ring supposed to be 1/3 of the man's income? If you want a $10,000 ring, you need to build him up to a 70,000 dollars man so that he can afford that $10,000 ring. You want a destination wedding? You want 150, $200,000 wedding? You want to build up a man to have that 150, $200,000 to put on a wedding. But hold on, let me ask you a question though. Because if he can build up $250,000 to marry you, why couldn't y'all just go to the justice of the peace for $75 and put that $250,000 into a stock option, and then he could be getting 20, 30, 50, $75,000 a year that he could just be giving you as play money because that's the interest on the principal instead of paying the principal towards impressing your friends because that ain't his friends. His friends would have been happy at the strip club the night before. You entertaining your friends where he don't even got to say on the wedding. He got to just write the check. He got to do a blank check, whatever she wants. Crazy, isn't it? We gonna get back on these men though. He said the people in IT who make 500,000 a year did it. They saved and retired in 26 to 40 years old. But that's what I'm trying to tell you. They get in the job 2 to 4 years later, they're a millionaire, half millionaire, because they don't need all the money that they're making and they're not spending all the money that they get. We got to change things around. Because the ladies don't want to build, they want to pick the winners who made it. And I got a high five on that. It's not what we expected, but yes, that's what they do. They want to get the ones that already got there. But as I get back to the main topic, I just want to ask y'all ladies real quick. Out of all the men that you have dated, I want you to stop and think. You can comment if you want to, but you don't have to comment. Um, think about each one of the men that you broke up with, because you broke up with him. He didn't break up with you. And I want you to ask yourself real quick, how much more successful was he when you left in comparison to what he was when you found him? Did you help him get a promotion? Did you help him get a better job? Did you help him relocate to a better environment? Did you help him improve his transportation? Did you help him rebuild his house? What did you do in this relationship that built this man up where that improvement lasted after you left? What did you do? Because when the women leave men, they leave with newer cars, newer clothes. Some take the house and the dog, they got the children. When the women leave, they got alimony, they got child support. But when the women leave, what do the men got? Besides less expenses, less stuff to pay for. Because men gain 41% of their money back after the relationship is over, and women lose an extra 23% of their standard of living, which is like an 18% gap between the two, which is basically wasted on bullshit. Ain't got nothing to do with her safety or security. It's just entertaining her. That 18% gap between what she lose and what he get back, that's money wasted on her. I ain't even trying to pick fights with y'all ladies. I just want y'all to understand that if you know that 23% of the money that you lost is money that's coming out of him looking out for you, that's 23% more money you could have been investing. And if there's 18% of money that just disappeared, that instead of him wasting that on entertaining you, that 18% of money could be invested into some stuff so that y'all can have a better future. And that, like I said earlier, traveling around the world, financial independence, financial freedom, no responsibility, wake up when you want to, go to bed when you feel like it, money making money for you in your sleep. That happens from taking all the money you don't need and putting it somewhere where the money's going to work while you are asleep at work, hanging out with your friends or whatever. This one said, man is a cosmic exile, born outside the cycle of reproduction, compelled to invent culture as compensation, bought at the price of separation, loneliness, and guilt. Okay, that's tough, but I can't disagree with it. I can't disagree with it at all. We're technically not outside of the cycle of reproduction because it takes the male chromosomes in order to create, but the male's Y chromosome, the difference between the male Y chromosome and the female X chromosome creating the female versus the male is like the most contribution that the man has in the reproduction cycle. After that, it is nurturing the young, but women have forced men outside of the scope of parenthood in some situations in the Western culture where 82% of men are not allowed to be there to be the good dads that they could be. And then, yes, men are bought into, they buy back in to social interaction because women don't want men that don't spend money. You realize that the value of a woman is her purity and the value of a man is his wallet. So, the more money that a man has, the more stuff that a man has, the more valuable that a man has. that a man is. The lower the body count and the more cooperative that a woman is, the more valuable she is. Women get mad at this, but it's a polar opposite. If a man is broke, he ain't shit. If a woman's a hoe, she ain't shit. It is what it is. It is not just about the beauty. Because, ladies, y'all know a man will be with a supermodel and he will leave her for a busted chick because she respects him. He can date a nine and leave that nine and date a three because that three respects him. Goes a long way now. So when a relationship gets serious, and we're going to talk, we're getting back on this self-sabotaging behavior for the men because I know the women wanted to come in and see this part. When a relationship gets serious, when your partner wants to get close, a lot of men that are self-sabotaging will have alarms that go off in their nervous system. And this is where sabotage becomes a defense mechanism. You might start finding fault with your partner to justify creating a distance. She did something. It ain't always the truth. You become hypercritical. You be picking at stuff that make absolutely no sense. And you might retreat into workaholism or gaming. So you're doing double overtime on a job, or you on that fight night all night long, chasing Halo, trying to get level 200 on GTA 6. But you're sending a clear message that I am unavailable. And women are not liking that. Or in a classic avoidant move, you create weaponized chaos like coming home, starting a fight, having an affair, or making an impulsive decision that torpedoes the relationship. And this isn't because you don't care, it's because the closeness feels like a survival threat and you're preemptively creating the distance that you believe is inevitable, but on your own terms. A lot of times, guys have this bad habit. He says women prefer men who spend money on them. Oh, of course. But a lot of guys have this situation where you having problems picking up chicks, not because you don't know what to do, but because you tend to, as we call it, put your foot in your mouth. You out there spitting game on this girl, and then you say something about yourself you probably shouldn't have said. You might be asking for too much, or expressing that you got too much chaos going on. It's like if you was going to the dealership to go and buy a car, and the dealer's showing you all the reasons why you shouldn't buy this car, and then be like, "Hey, you want to buy this car?" You like, "Hell no, I don't want to buy that car. The car full of shit." Some guys self sabotage in the dating field. They'll put themselves into self fulfilling prophecies where you'll be trying to court this female, presenting yourself in a negative light. Then she rejects you. Then you can say, "See, I'm not lovable." And then you retire back out of the dating field. And then you get back on your Xbox and you playing, you know, Fortnite all night. Um, it is a bad habit. And until you realize what you're doing, you're gonna be blaming everybody but yourself. And fellas, that's one of the things that you can't do is that mom must carve his value in our biological world, and that is why we must say, be a man. It is a state of being. And the moment a man stops seeking something or stops his journey is the moment he ceases growth. But one of the problems is that women will tell a man to be a man. And the problem that we have with that is women don't really know what a man is supposed to be because women know that they want a man that is a source of income, but they don't necessarily want a man to be a complete man because they don't want a man to tell them what to do. So you don't want a man to be a whole man. You're actually really preferring a sugar daddy. You're preferring a subsidized income, party like a rock star lifestyle at the expense of being able to get the emotional validity that you need, but no responsibility beyond that, and having all of your needs being met by a man or multiple men in some situations so that you have less stuff to do. You can still be your self-sufficient career woman, but at the same time, you're not following any of the traditional roles. Any of them, not the masculine ones, not the feminine ones. And Domino says that it is a title that we must earn every day. But see, the funny thing is that men are men by design. A man is not a gender role. It's treated in Western culture as a gender role. It's treated in every culture as a gender role. But in Eastern culture, the gender roles are more enforced uniformly, where the roles of the women are expected and the roles of the women are performed. A woman can be a career woman, but still adhere to her family duties, and a man and taking on that second shift. But in Asian cultures, you have both parents get maternity leave for a year. So mom and dad get to stay home. Instead of it being all on the woman, the man can take his behind home too and get paid leave to stay at home for a whole year raising a child. They could take turns. Every 4 hours is your turn and not be so overwhelmed. We don't have that in the United States. We do not get paid maternity leave. We get uh, unpaid time off. Your position is held for you if you want to come back, but we don't get paid maternity leave in the United States. And any maternity leave that happens is only given to the women. We very rarely get maternity leave for men. So that systematically puts childbearing on the women, where the women have to look after the kids until the women are capable of going back to work, or the man would be a stay-at-home dad, and the woman's got to work two jobs to take care of the man and the kid. And not a lot of women have the mentality to want to do that. Not that they're not capable of doing it; it's just the fact that they just don't want to do it. Is women have the wonderful ability to shepherd life into the world from the divine, and must create the divine here. So, so I'm talking about the divine's aesthetic representations of what a man is and what a woman is, and man and woman are a yin and yang. Yeah, that is true. And they don't push off each other, but lean on each other, balancing each other. And I extremely agree with that. I extremely agree with that. But even on an esoteric and divine scenario, the fact is that if the man has nothing to lean on, he gonna fall, right? Because she can lean on him, but he's got to hold both of them up, and that's crazy. We have not fathomed this yet. Is that men must create here on my last statement mistype. Oh, okay. Oh, so the men must create where you said the women must create. Okay, I understand. I see what you're saying. So now consider another boy whose caregiver is inconsistent. Sometimes they're warm and responsive. Other times they're anxious or distracted. This child learns that connection is precarious and it must be constantly monitored. So he becomes hyper vigilant to the signs of abandonment and learn that he must amplify his needs to get them met. And this is often the origin of an anxious attachment style. So, as a man, this can manifest as a deep seated fear of rejection and connection with constant needs for reassurance. So you might be prone to people pleasing, sacrificing your own needs to keep others happy and get that affirmation from other people, validation. He's a good person. He does so much for me, but he's deliberately sacrificing himself to receive praise. This is a form of self sabotage, as it just leads to resentment and burnout because you really get tired of helping people just to get a you're doing a good job. I get tired of hearing you're doing a good job. I know I'm killing myself for this situation. Like more than a good job, I need a damn vacation. Is a yes to the falling. But I think that society and social media and the internet has messed with our social relationships too much, and we are socially evolving too fast for our biological brains to keep up. Well, I can agree with that too. I strongly believe that I've covered that on the show quite a few times how social media has destroyed social interactions. All the dating sites have destroyed social interactions. I completely agree with that. I can't say that we are evolving too fast. I can say that we're distancing ourselves too much because we substitute in person interactions with social interactions. A lot of the people that are here on the podcast would have never had this conversation with me in person, but we're having this conversation now because I'm streaming live across four different platforms all over the world. Now, when you feel a threat to the relationship, your partner seems distant, a text goes unanswered, your anxious feelings start to spike. The sabotage here might look like lashing out in jealousy, making ultimatums, or clinging so tightly that you push your partner away. Now, this can come out in a lot of different ways. Questioning her ability to delay responses in your text messages. Who were you talking to when she's spending more time on the phone than communicating with you? Accusing her of cheating because she's spending more time not focused on you and less time focused on you. You know what I mean? But really, what's going on there, you're so afraid of the relationship ending that you behave in ways that make that outcome more likely. So, fellas, for both styles, sabotage is a misguided attempt to manage the overwhelming fear programmed into your attachment blueprint. It's a tragic cycle where the very strategies that you use to protect yourself from relationship pain end up creating that exact relationship pain. Trauma isn't just about major life threatening events, it can also be small traumas or small t traumas, chronic stress, emotional neglect, persistent criticism, or growing up in a chaotic household. When the nervous system is repeatedly exposed to threat without a path to safety, it learns to adapt, self preservation. So, one of its primary adaptations is the shutdown or the freeze response, also known as disassociation. And I understand that ladies do this a lot more in relationships than men, but men do it too, and for different reasons. Michael says, evolving, or are we devolving into knuckle draggers? Weak mind, weak body. Yeah, yeah. At first, I was gonna say, well, I don't think that we're all that weak, but then I thought about, it, I'm like, shit, I ain't lift weights in so long. Yeah, I did not increase my muscle strength. Yeah, we're ended up getting more weak and becoming more dependent on technology. We are easily influenced by social media, so we're not strong minded. We're strong willed where we want what we want, regardless of what we got to do to get it. But we're less independent thinkers because a lot of decisions, especially with women, is a lady will make a decision based on what her homegirls is doing, based on what she's seen on social media, based on what she's seen on TV. She wanted the way she saw it, somebody else it benefiting from it. Fellas do the same thing. They want that loud stereo system that they seen down the road, or the guns they seen on the social media channel, or the ability to look sharp like that guy on that one TV show, but not knowing the effort that it takes to get there and the money it costs to buy that. So yeah, yeah, social media. If social media paints a picture of the best things in life being compressed together into what is expected to be the most fictitious and unachievable lifestyle possible. But you have to understand, just like the young lady that thought that this show was gonna go for a little bit and then stop, it never stopped. She had to swipe away from it because all of the best parts, like a 1 to 5 minute clip, and they'll think, oh, okay, this is life. Everybody does it. Men and women alike. They'll think this is life. And then he had a boombox, and then the change happens. It took 3 to 5 times more time, sometimes 10 times if there's a lot of creativity in it, to edit the video. So if it was a 1 minute video, they probably spent 10 minutes on it. If it was a 5 minute video, they could have spent up to 50 minutes on editing that video. And that is not the record time. You got some of the best highlights from a podcast that is going viral right now from a 6 hour podcast. 5 minutes out of 6 hours went viral. All the rest of it somewhere, but 5 minutes out of 6 hours went viral. Isn't that crazy? And then we wonder, well, why can't we achieve the lifestyle that so and so has on social media? Because the fussing and arguing before the channel, before the recording, the fussing and arguing after the recording, any fussing and arguing in between recording, none of that stuff is on the recording. The fighting that they got going on. You know when you got those couples that be playing pranks on one another, half the time they know that the prank is coming because they see the camera set up. It's pointing right there in their face. And half the time they not ready for it. And the part when they not ready for it, after the recording is done, you gotta apologize and make up to your partner and this, that, and the third, and then put the video up and show how many hits you got from their raw reaction so that they could a little bit of resentment there, still forgive you for what you said and did in that prank. But the fairness is that they get to do something equally dirty to you for the same channel, but you still pissed off at what they thought up when they put you into that video unexpectedly. The fact is that what we see on social media is not the whole picture. It is some great moments in life, but that's not all that life is. Life has chaos in it, and we have to know how to navigate through it. Now, think of this self-sabotaging behavior like a circuit or a circuit breaker in your brain. When the emotional load becomes too intense for any reason, too much fear, too much shame, or extreme pain, the system shorts out to protect itself. You go numb. You disconnect from your feelings, your body, and sometimes even from reality. In a short term, this is a brilliant survival strategy. It reduces the immediate pain. But what happens is when this becomes your default setting as an adult, any situation that triggers a similar feeling of being overwhelmed or not good enough can activate this shutdown response. A high stakes presentation at work doesn't just feel stressful, it feels like a threat. A difficult conversation with your partner doesn't just feel uncomfortable, it feels dangerous. And ladies, this is the worst part. This self sabotaging behavior that men have, y'all can trigger that when y'all tell y'all man that y'all don't need him. He ain't shit. He's not good enough for you. You're triggering his self-sabotaging behavior. Whatever he does after that, whatever he say after you said what you said, is a defense mechanism, not a direct attack on you, but you're going to take it as a direct attack on you. But you started this fire. and didn't think you was going to get burned by it. Instead of facing these challenges, men are going to disassociate. This is the root of a specific kind of procrastination and avoidance. It's not that you're lazy, it's that your nervous system is pulling you zone with video games, you zone out with storybooks, and you're for hours. You're distracted with things when you should have been working or completing that project that your girlfriend or your wife gave you. You forget to return important calls. You feel the strange sense of detachment as a deadliest flyby, and that deadliest flyby will cause time to move so quickly that you don't even meet your deadlines. You're not getting your work done. You're not getting your homework done. You're not completing assignments on time. You're not meeting certain financial expectations. On this is where missed payments happen when you don't have auto pay set up, because you'll forget that today's the day to pay for a bill. You'll forget that you were supposed to put this money towards something. You might even take that money and go to the bar and drink to get over the stress of what you got going on. And the money that you're spending is bill money. Now you don't got enough money for the bill. You got to put something on it. You are emotionally numb in these situations, which prevents you from feeling the anxiety, but it also prevents you from taking the necessary actions related to it. This shutdown can also manifest as intellectualizing. So instead of feeling your emotions, you analyze them from a distance. You talk about the anger instead of feeling the anger. This creates a barrier to true connection, and it prevents you from processing the underlying emotions that's driving the sabotage. The trauma response, once a shield, now becomes a wall that blocks you from learning, from growing, and from engaging fully with your own life and especially your romantic partner. So, if cultural scripts, attachments, and trauma are the blueprint, then shame is the fuel that powers the entire engine of self sabotage. Shame is different from guilt. Guilt says I did something bad. Shame says that I am something bad. It's that intensely painful feeling of being flawed and unworthy of belonging. So when we experience a failure or a rejection, shame is the voice that whispers, see, I told you, you're a fraud. You're not good enough. This feeling is so corrosive that our ego will do almost anything to avoid it. And this is the absolute core of why self sabotage feels protective. Now, the logic of the ego is simple. It's less shameful to fail because you didn't try than to fail after you gave it all you are. Giving 100% to a project, a relationship, or a health goal and failing is terrifying because it could confirm the ego's deepest fear that you are fundamentally inadequate. The shame would be overwhelming. So the ego devises a brilliant, even if it's destructive, plan. Create an excuse for the failure ahead of time. Strategic underperformance will put you in a position where you don't study for the exam. You stay out late before a crucial meeting, and if you fail, it wasn't a reflection of your true ability. A lot of the times when we put ourselves in a position, and this is one thing I've said a lot about people who drink and do drugs, because I drink my fair share of alcohol back in the day, but people who drink and do drugs and then use the excuse, I was fucked up when it happened. You was gonna do that anyway. So there's been plenty of times that I was toe up from the floor up and took myself home. Okay. I wasn't out there having affairs. I wasn't out there doing crazy stuff that I'll be embarrassed about later. I wasn't waking up naked in the middle of nowhere, not knowing where my clothes was, or waking up next to somebody that I wasn't expecting to wake up next to, or finding myself waking up in jail where I done did some stuff that I'm gonna be embarrassed about later, and I got to talk to the judge because I got it on video. None of that stuff happened. When you do stuff that when sober you would have prevented yourself from doing, you get wasted, and then you go and perform that action, it was always in your subconscious mind that that was something that you wanted to do. You utilize the drugs and the alcohol in the moment as a catalyst to numb the anxiety and fear of the outcome, and then you perform that outcome. It was a guilt free action that followed with guilt of consequences when people found out about that action. You're going to blame it and say, well, it was because you were hungover or unprepared. The ego is going to protect yourself. The shame is averted from taking the real action. Procrastination is another one. This isn't laziness, it's delaying the verdict. As long as the project isn't finished, it can't be judged. So procrastination keeps you in a state of potential, which feels safer than the results that might bring shame. Perfectionism. This is shame in disguise. You set the bar so impossibly high that you can never reach it, which paralyzes you from the start. The underlying belief is I can't do it perfectly. I'm a failure. So, since perfection is impossible, you create a built in excuse for not succeeding. In all these cases, you are choosing a smaller, more controllable failure now to avoid the possibility of a larger, systemically more shameful failure later. Your ego would rather to live in the familiar misery of if only I had tried harder than risk the devastating verdict of I tried my best and it wasn't good enough. No matter how hard I tried, I just wasn't good enough. And I got to tell you, athletes, whew, athletes who give it they all and fail, man, I got to give it to them because that take a lot of strength. But this is the central tragedy of self-sabotage in men. It's a desperate, misguided act of self-love driven by a fear that you are at your core unlovable. Understanding the psychology is the first step. Now let's get concrete because it's time to put a name to the behaviors you're seeing in your own life. And make sure, guys, if y'all are watching the show right now and y'all like the information that I'm giving you, these deep breakdowns, make sure that you take the opportunity to like and subscribe and utilize those reaction buttons because we're giving you these shows 7 nights a week. We have no chill. So for those of you who were scrolling, stopped here, started scrolling again, and came back. I told you we was gonna be here for a few hours. We are at the top and the bottom of the For You page. So when you get back to this show, you have gone through their entire Rolodex of active videos right now, and you are back to where you need to be. So recognizing these patterns is like turning on the lights in a dark room. Doesn't fix the mess, but for the first time, you can see what you're dealing with. So as I go through these, be honest with yourself. Do any of them sound familiar? Whether it's you or somebody that you know. First things first, the numbing actions. This is the great escape, and this may be the most common and socially acceptable form of male sabotage. It's using substances or behaviors to numb, distract from, or escape uncomfortable emotions. Whether you're smoking a blunt because you don't want to feel things, drinking alcohol because you don't want to feel things, taking some kind of LSD or acid or Tunchi or whatever so that you don't have to feel things. If you said you wanted to build a business, but you spend 3 hours a night lost in a bottle of whiskey or doom scrolling on your phone, you said you wanted more intimate connection with your partner, but you default to pornography instead as a counterfeit for real vulnerability. And while we talking about that real quick, Pornhub and block y'all if y'all don't put y'all driver's license up there. Your most favorite channel. If y'all don't have an account with them, they ain't letting you see the videos no more. But these aren't just bad habits. They're emotional regulation strategies. So the alcohol dulls anxiety. It dulls the fear, which allows you to take action on things that you shouldn't take action on. The gaming provides a sense of control that's missing in real life. You accomplish the missions you want to accomplish on the game. The workaholism offers a constant stream of validation and a perfect excuse to avoid the emotional demands at home. You'll find going to work early and staying late, working off the clock, doing so much for the boss to tell you, good job, I appreciate you at work, but you never at the house, putting that effort in at the house. The sabotage is that while these behaviors give temporary relief, they actively prevent you from addressing the root cause of the pain in the first place. They steal your time and your energy and your focus, ensuring the very goals that you want remain forever out of reach. Now, the second one is going to be the chronic procrastination and strategic underperformance, which is the art of the near misses. This is the saboteur who lives in the land of almost. You know, Brandy said back in the day, almost doesn't count. He's a guy who is brilliant but never finishes his degree. The man with a great business idea who never writes the business plan down. The employee who waits until the last second to start a major project, ensuring that the final product is good but not great. This isn't about poor time management. It looks that way, but it's actually about fear management. It's a fear of being judged, a fear of failure, and sometimes even a fear of success. Because think about this, you don't believe that you're good enough to get it. And if you get it, you don't believe that you're capable of holding on to it. The fear of success is more crippling than the fear of failure because at least you can overcome the fear of failure by trying harder. You can't overcome the fear of success because if you can't maintain this once you get it, then you fail. You foreclose on the house, you repossess the car, you get that promotion and they get fired off the job when you could have just stayed the regular hourly worker and kept your job. You move out the friend zone into a relationship and then a relationship falls apart and you lose your best friend. By procrastinating, you create a built in alibi. I could have gotten an A, but I only started studying the night before. This narrative protects your ego from the ultimate test of your abilities. Strategic underperformance is its close cousin. And this is where you unconsciously do things to hinder your own success. You show up late to important meetings. You forget to follow up on a promise that you would leave. You make careless mistakes that are beneath you. You are engineering a controlled failure. And this is often driven by a fear of success. Because if you succeed, expectations will rise. You will be more visible, more exposed. Staying in the realm of untapped potential just feels safer. You know, one of the biggest insults in life that is used as the most frequent comment in the world is that you have potential. But the true fundamental definition of potential is the capabilities of doing something that you are currently not doing. It isn't kinetic to say, I mean, it isn't a compliment to say that you're kinetic right now, that you're doing everything to the peak of your capabilities. But potential means that there's so much more in life that you could be doing right now. But for reasons beyond my knowledge, you are just not doing it. Now, three, we're going to get to three now. Three is going to be the emotional shutdown and the isolation. And this one's called the fortress of solitude because when faced with emotional stress, conflict, or a demand for vulnerability, this saboteur builds a wall. And this is the man who stonewalls his partner during an argument, offering nothing but a blank stare and a monosyllabic, I'm fine. Ladies, y'all do that a lot too. But this is the kind of man who also, after a major setback, doesn't uh, reach anyone. He doesn't reach out to his friends. He doesn't reach out to his family, but instead retreats into a cave of silence, convinced he has to figure it out alone. A lot of men find themselves in a situation of failure, and they do not have the ego to go and tell their families. So they cover it up. You lose a job, you find something to do when you should be at work. You pretend like you're going to work every day, and then you find something to do until it's time for you to get off from work. And then you come back from work and pretend like work was hard. It's crazy. You'll wreck the car and put the car somewhere and make excuses until the lies catch up to you and you have to explain what really happened. And this shutdown is learned defense. This is learned defense, often rooted in an avoidant attachment style. Avoidant behavior is not wanting to get into a conflict with somebody else. And you will take devaluation, you will take not having an opinion in order to not be in the conflict. Or this is a childhood where expressing emotion was unsafe. This is another outcome that could lead to this. You learn that emotional displays lead to punishment or rejection. So you turn the volume down to zero. You might intellectualize your feelings, talk about them like they're a technical problem to solve rather than to experience and be felt. And the sabotage here is going to end up being twofold because first, it starves your relationships and your partner feels shut out and the very support system that you need withers. Second, it prevents you from actually processing the emotions, and that unaddressed fear or sadness just gets stored in your body, controlling and contributing to chronic stress and anxiety, hypervigilance. You're going to create a fortress to protect yourself, but you end up a prisoner inside that fortress. Now, the fourth thing is, and we're getting close to Crossing over the midpoint here, I did tell y'all we're going to be here for a while. Weaponized chaos and impulsive detonations, misdirected rage. This is called controlled demolition. And this is one of the more dramatic forms of self sabotage. Just when things are going well, the relationship is stable, the career is on an upward path, in spite of that trajectory, this saboteur presses the big red button. And this can look like starting a massive, unnecessary fight with your partner. It can be a sudden, impulsive affair that shatters trust. It can be quitting a good job without a plan or making a reckless financial decision that plunges you into debt. It can often be seen to come out of nowhere, leaving everyone around you bewildered by your behavior patterns. But it's not random. This behavior is often driven by a sincere belief that your worthy of happiness or stability is limited. So the calm feeling is unfamiliar and therefore unsafe. The goodness feels precarious. So you take control by ending it yourself. And it's a preemptive strike against disappointment. Certain thoughts like, I'll burn this down before it has to change to burn me. we used to do this a lot. I burn this motherfucker down. You will before change comes and burns you, you will burn everything down around you. And this is a common, if brutal, way for men with avoidant attachment to create immediate distance when they feel engulfed by intimacy. And ladies, think about this. Intimacy is not necessarily physical contact now. It is extreme levels of emotional connection. Now, the people pleaser and the martyr saboteur sabotages by a thousand yeses. And this form of sabotage is more suitable. It's very subtle, often disguised as virtue. This is the man who can't say no. He says yes to every extra project at work, even if it means working until midnight. He says yes to every request from his family, even if it means sacrifices his own well being. He avoids conflict at all costs, suppressing his own needs and desires to keep the peace. Now, on the surface, he looks like a great employee and a devoted husband. But underneath, resentment is building. He feels unseen, unappreciated, exhausted. His own goals, the business he wanted to start, the marathon he wanted to run, are perpetually on the back burner, seemingly for eternity. And this pattern is sabotage because it's a betrayal of the self. It's rooted in the fear that if you set non negotiable expectations for behavior, you set those boundaries, or you state your own needs, you'll be rejected or seen as selfish. This often looks like an anxious attachment style where your sense of worth is tied to others' approvals, where you become a martyr to everyone else's priorities. And in the process, you guarantee the failure of your own. And eventually, the resentment boils over, often leading to passive aggressive behavior or complete burnout. So, as you reflect on these five saboteurs, you may see yourself in more than one of them. You might see some of your homeboys, a brother, a son, grandfather. That's normal. The goal here isn't to shame yourself, it's awareness. Simply naming the pattern is the first act of taking power back from it. So now let's pivot from diagnoses to actions. Awareness is flight. It's a flashlight, actually. And now we need the tools to start cleaning the room. So this is where we move from why to how. And we're going to build uh, toolkits. That's what we're going to be building. We're going to be building toolkits with three tiers of intervention: immediate techniques for when you're feeling triggered, daily habits to build new capacity, and deeper strategies for relational and identity level change. Now, these are your emergency first aid techniques. You need to feel the pull to procrastinate, the urge to lash out, the desire to shut down. And here's what you do right then and there. This technique creates a space between an impulse and your actions. It's based on a simple principle: you are not your thoughts or your feelings. You got to name it. The moment you feel the urge, label it. Not I want to escape, but ah, that's the avoider showing up. Or there's the inner critic trying to protect me with perfectionism. By externalizing the pattern, you separate it from your core identity. It's not you, it's a part of you with an outdated job. So you want to pause and acknowledge. You want to take one deep breath. In this pause, you don't fight the urge, you simply acknowledge it with a bit of compassion. Say to yourself, this part of me is scared. It is trying to protect me from feeling shame and failure. This simple validation lowers the internal resistance. Now, it doesn't eliminate it altogether, but it lowers it. Then you want to reframe the question, because now asking one empowering question, not how do I stop this, but what is one small action I can take right now that aligns with the man I want to be, or not the fear I am feeling. That's a pretty deep therapy question right there. The answer might be as small as open the document or walk around the block. The size of the action doesn't matter. The action of choosing a different path is what matters. And this is a core skill from dialectical behavior therapy, DBT, and it's incredibly effective. The principle is simple. When your emotional urge is unhelpful, you deliberately do the opposite of what the emotion is telling you to do. So if you're shamed, you tell uh, the other people in your life about hiding. The urge is to isolate yourself. Opposite actions is going to be to make eye contact and stand straight up and share one small, honest thing with someone that you trust, even just, I'm having a rough moment. You got to be able to let them know. If your fear tells you to avoid, the urge is to procrastinate. Opposite action is to approach the feared thing in tiny steps. You don't have to finish the project, you just work on it for 5 minutes and turn 5 minutes into an hour. It's called the 5 minute rule. If your anger tells you to attack, the urge is to tell is and send a scathing email. So the opposite action is to gently disengage. Take a 60-second walk or speak in a softer tone or practice slow breathing. If your sadness tells you to withdraw, the urge is to stay in bed, and after staying in bed, cancel plans. Opposite action is to get active, go for a walk, call a friend, or put on uplifting music. Now, this feeling completely counterintuitive at first, but works by sending a new signal to your brain. So you are demonstrating through your behavior that you can tolerate the uncomfortable emotions without letting it uh, dedicate your own actions. Whew, we're almost there, guys. We're across hour two. Man, I told y'all we had a lot. I told y'all we had a lot to do today. Y'all thought I was joking. We over here kicking our own butts trying to get through this. Whew, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. Well, I be wanting to get up on these podcasts and walk around, but I'm like, damn, the camera can't follow. Get some blood circulating. But can't just stop at bad habits. You have to replace it with something better. These are practices that over time rewire your nervous system and build your tolerance for discomfort, making you less reliant on sabotage. Now, you want to pick one of these behaviors, and we're going to go through them, and then we're going to see what's going on. You have a primary number behavior, just one. Is it evening drinks or the primary numbing behavior? Is it evening drinks or scrolling on social media or gambling? Choose one of them. And then after you choose one of them, you construct a habit to replace it with for the next 30 days. So you're like, okay, so you're going to take a new habit and you're going to replace the old habit with the new habit for 30 days. Everything at once. Instead of the first drink after work, try a 30-minute walk with a podcast. Instead of opening Instagram when you're bored, read 10 pages out of a book. That's a lot to do. Instead of turning on the video game, do a 15-minute home workout. Those are actually good for your health. The key is to frame this as data collection, not a moral test. We already got too many of those this month. Your goal for 30 days isn't to be perfect, it's to track what you do, and more importantly, to observe what happens when you slip up. What was the trigger? What was the feeling? Get curious, not judgmental. You're being a scientist of your own behavior. Self sabotage is driven by a dysregulated nervous system. The problem is often stored in the body, which is why just talking about it isn't always enough. Sometimes exercise helps you change your emotional state by changing your physical state. Creating a 5 minute simple uh, semantic reset button to use. That's what we're going to be covering real quick. We're going to start with a simple one, grounding. Stand up, feel your feet. Whew, coffee's wearing out. Feel your feet flat on the floor. Rock your weight back and forth. Press your foot into the ground and feel its stability. This sends signals of safety and presence to your brain stems. The next thing we're going to do is shaking. 1 minute, gently shake out your hands, then your arms, then your legs. This is going to be wild. And animals in the wild literally shake off a stressful encounter to discharge adrenaline. You're doing the same thing. You're breaking down. Second month, 2 minutes. This technique is popular associated with Navy SEALs and other tactical professionals for regulating the nervous system under pressure. That's wild. Inhale for a count of four, hold for 4 seconds, inhale for 4 seconds. How far do you think they got? 4 minutes repeated and 2 minutes. This calm will positively impact the heart rate and shift you out of stress response. We're almost there, guys. We got about 17 pages left. Oh, God. Woo. Yeah, I'm getting tired. Burnt out. Now, hand to heart touch. This is going to be another one. 1 minute exercise. Place a hand over your heart, which is technically off to the side, or your belly. Feel the warmth. Breathe into your hand and simply say to yourself, I am here, I am safe, and this to me is a normal moment. This activates the body's self soothing systems. Making this a daily practice builds your capacity for self regulation, making you less likely to need the old sabotaging patterns. And these strategies address the noticed root causing the changing in your relationship and recognizing that sabotage thrives in secrecy. That's the other thing. So, the most powerful way to defang it in a relationship is to bring it into the light. And this requires practicing a short, non blaming script to share what your partner or a trusted friend uh, has concerns about. So here's a good example of that. I want to share something with you because our relationship is important to me. I've realized that I have a pattern where I feel ashamed, overwhelmed, or scared. I tend to shut down, pick a fight, or pull away. I know this hurts you and it's not what I want. So it's an old proactive habit that I am working on changing. And in the failure, if you see me doing whatever it is that I need to do to survive, that could allow me to gently say a pre agreed phrase like, I see you're struggling. I'm here for you. Now, that would help me come back to the moment instead of getting lost in the old pattern. This does several powerful things. It shows you're taking ownership. It externalizes the pattern, makes it a shared thing, and that tackles it together once you guys start getting on it. And it gives your partner a constructive role, which can dramatically increase the safety for repair after a rupture. Now, your identity isn't fixed. You can consciously create a step into a different version, or at least a different version of yourself, to build new habits. Now, the key is to frame it as an experiment, which lowers your pressure. Define the alter ego, who is the version of you that doesn't self sabotage. And you want to give me a full name, and maybe it's focused on being born or the present. Now, what are the three core characteristics? Focus, because your focus um, is calm under pressure, decisive, and community clearing. The identity context allows you to choose one specific reoccurring situation where you tend to sabotage yourself, a weak team member, the uh, hours after work that you get. All that stuff needs to be factored in. Um, Role play the behaviors for the next 30 days. And in this context only, you're going to consciously act as if you are altering egos. Now, before the team meetings, ask yourself, how do I focus prepared for this? Okay, well, this isn't about faking it, it's about using a playful frame to perfect a new way of being. By rehearsing these new behaviors in limited context, you carve new natural paths and you literally build the identity of the man that you want to become, one small action at a time. Over time, the lines between you and the alter ego begin to blur, where the journey is not linear and you will have setbacks. But the old programming is going to be deep, and the key is to treat relationships as nothing more. So when you fall back into an old pattern, get curious. What was the trigger? And that is a very good question. Then you want to try. Uh, I tried to meet with that old behavior, log it in a journal. If the contact same pattern habits repeatedly, that's your signal that you might need to introduce a structural change, like making significant change to your environment or having that conversation with your partner, especially when you know that that conversation is going to piss them off. And please, please, please know when it is professional help that you need to get. Because if your self sabotage stays involved, a series of actions will then occur. Yeah. Whew. We almost there, guys. And I appreciate those of you that are still following through. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe and hit that notification button. We're going to be here 7 nights a week, and we're almost there. We're almost wrapping it up. These are going to be the thoughts causing severe damage into your life. Those tools are a supplement, not a sabotage. And for professional support, you want to try to utilize that for whatever your needs are. At least give it a shot to see if you feel some improvement. And giving it a shot means like give it a month and see if you see some improvement. Because they're not going to be able to fix you in one day. Seeking help from a therapist is not a sign of weakness. It is the ultimate act of strength and a selfish, irresponsible uh, act of strength and a selfish. Oh boy, I was catching those comments over there. Okay, so seeking professional help is an ultimate act of strength and self responsibility. So remember that. Now, what we've covered today is beginnings of a profound journey of self reclamation. Okay. We've exposed over the course of the last 2.5 hours the hidden system, the blend of cultural scripts, attachment wounds, and trauma, and shame that has been running your life from the showdowns, the shadows. Now, we've laid out a set of practical tools to begin dismantling the system. But insight without action is just trivial. So here's your call to action. Your commitment to yourself is to challenge your capabilities to a 30-day experiment. Choose one micro intervention like name, pause, reframe, or choose one daily like capacity builder, uh, or like the semantic reset ritual. And choose one deeper strategy, like writing out your first disclosure. If you're writing that script or defining your alter ego, you are setting yourself on a good path. Just one from each category. Commit to it for a whole 30 days, where out of the three or four categories, you're probably doing four things regularly. And to start that commitment right now, engage with a community of men on this same path. So in the comment section below, share which of the five that uh, of these five saboteurs that recognize by you the most. This is the behavior that is identified in you the most. Would it be the numbing action, the procrastinator, the shutdown artist, the chaos creator, or the martyr? Naming it is the first step towards owning it. And you'll see from the other comments that you are not alone in this fight. And this isn't about eradicating your fears or eliminating your ego. It's about learning to act despite them. The goal isn't to become fearless, it is to become courageous enough to show up for your own life, especially when it's uncomfortable. So, as Brown says, it is not nearly as dangerous as giving up on the love, belonging, and success you are truly worth. Because you are worthy of it. And the path forward is through the vulnerability that you've been taught to avoid. It is time to stop protecting your ego and to start building your life. Now, you need to go out there and take the first steps. Make sure before you guys walk off the show today that you go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. And for those of you that's watching us on Twitter and Twitch, hit that follow and that like button. And as we step off the show, I want to say, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you, ladies, to make it make sense. So, ladies, please make it make sense. And with that being said, I want to thank you guys for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Andrew, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night, preferably on time.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. Standing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. I'm not landing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.